Hello and welcome back to Idle Kingdom Defense. So today we are still on 9130, but we are headed into King's Ruins because this is it. This is the trial by fire. We are going to see what changed, and this is how we're going to metric it. Now I'm going to walk in here with these buffs, and we are going to be going down by 6%, and we're going to see how this stacks up. So let's see how the new crowd control nerfs work. So you can definitely see it already. See when Evan slows, things are not nearly as slow as they were at 99%. They are starting to move. That's definitely not good. Well, hey, the Warriors took a hint to get the things off the... we got stuff all over the place. I'm trying to see how long this is. I should have timed this. But I can't tell. I can't tell just off. This is a bad fight to test anyways. And one of my viewers did mention in the comments, I don't show the DPS meters enough. I mean, that's because I kind of know them in my head. I'll try to be more forthcoming on where the DPS is coming from. So, again, this is a bad one to look at because this is the one we had buffed. So, let's go to the next one. This will be the real trial. The trial by fire. Alright, so again, you can see Evan is no longer the slowing king. That's actually a big nerf for him. It makes sense, though, when we get Mythic Heroes. Again, if we get Mythic Heroes and he goes up by what he was before, he's going to be ahead. Okay, he's going to be ahead of where he's at, assuming they keep everything the same. So this is a nerf because we don't have Mythic Heroes yet. That does kind of give you an idea of where they expect you to start getting Mythic Heroes. Oh, I forgot to check the time on this. We'll have to try again the next one. I can't really tell if it's fast. It seems like it's faster, but I want a more mathematical answer than it seems like it's faster. I mean, I'll pretty much know by the end of the video of was it faster, was it slower. It doesn't really look like much of a change at all, to be honest. Which means they mostly tweak this at the very, very high end of this and not what we're doing. Which I did, now that I heard from people, it used to take them 15 minutes to push, and now it takes 6. So that is a big difference. 15 minutes to 6 minutes. I did watch somebody do King's Ruins, and it was on the Discord, and it was like just a straight up like mega slugfest, but not an internal slugfest like my Conquest was. I probably should check Conquest, and well, I can't. I can't check. I'll have to check on my other account because I can't check Conquest here because I've defeated all of them. And again, doesn't seem like they really nerfed the health that much. I don't think at this stage we're really seeing that many changes. Okay, now we're going to try really hard to make this next one much more scientific. All right. And again, see, archers are carrying the load, especially in those stages. So we're going to click the battle icon. And it is about 3 minutes and 45 seconds into the video, and now we are going to fight. And I think this would take between 2.5 minutes to 2 minutes before. So let's get, and we'll get a pretty good estimation of how much damage this is. I mean, sorry, what the duration is. And so we're already at just about heading to 30 seconds. So obviously, yeah, not a big change here. You can definitely see the change when it comes to Evan because you can see them move now. That's such a big change. You wouldn't think it'd be that much. And this is really going to hurt our warriors. So, alright, so we're already at a minute here. So this has been a minute, so this is... I fear this is not much quicker. Not much quicker at all. The only thing that's going to make this, and this is with buffed Gabriel, by the way, doing 11% more. So yeah, not much difference at all. You would think buff Gabriel would contribute more to the battlefield. And we're at 2 minutes, so yeah, no change. This might not be the best one to metric, but yeah, pretty much all my hopes have just been dashed and thrown out. So all we've gotten, we didn't get lower health. We didn't get anything. You know what we got? Evan. Evan got nerfed. Well, everybody got nerfed. So all we got is a big sack of nerfs. Certainly didn't help me. How disappointing. Could be wrong, but we'll see. And look at Evan just not... It's so weird to see Evan not just slow everything to a crawl. And I mean, yeah, it looks so dramatically different because things are literally 6 times faster than they used to be with Evan. 6 times. Yeah. Yeah. What a sad day. It honestly does make me wonder when they start... when do the debuffs start? You know? We'll find out. Somebody in the Discord will find out. It might not be me. I have to check my alt account. So yeah, this is sad times. I mean, it does seem easier, which is weird, because I figured they'd have more attack, which would make it more dangerous, so... But we could also be getting lucky with good stun and slow placement. In fact, the only good thing that could come up is if Evan's slow is affecting that many things. It's actually a little easier, because they're moving 6 times faster than they were, to bunch up a little bit better. You won't get 2 distinctly federated groups now, because Evan's stuff will, you know, inch forward. This actually does have some implications for farming with 18. Probably not at this level. Yeah, like Ryan's slow is no longer going to be permanent. He had a 7-second slow and a 7-second cooldown, and now it's no longer permanent. And it's going to be 79%. Well, this is not going well. Yeah, Ryan, okay, good. Ryan and Leonidas are picking things up. Okay. There we go. We hit the boss. That's a good start. I'm trying to just see what they do to see what changed, you know? I got really excited, though, when I first saw somebody else do it, because I thought they showed, like, you know how Portal does? It shows the percentage of hit points on the field, instead of just, like, focusing on a boss hit points. I got really excited, but after watching the video, I realized, oh, the bosses just have that much health. So you're seeing, you know, with this change, I still would rather have quad speed. Even if it's only quad speed, it's only for King's Ruins, Portal, Conquest, and Expedition. That would still be enough for me. More than enough, really. So again, my big question is, you know, Conquest. How's that faring for everybody? Very concerned that the Wolf has a 100,000 anti-defense defense penetration resist, which is very bad. But the fact that they included defense penetration resist means that defense worked how I described to you guys. I know somebody in the comments didn't believe me, but yeah, that's how it worked. It was percentage based. So once you had over 1,000, you were defense penetrate. You always won. It's like Harold. He's never going to have a problem. We will know if defense penetration becomes a problem. Because you know who will spike in the damage meters? Harold. And I'll show you why real quick. Whoops. Because he has super defense penetration. Whoops. So if anything happens with defense penetration dropping too low, Harold will be the last one affected, and any And you would be able to see Harold's percentage of damage go up and up and up. You know, I'm actually pretty happy that I found out why I never said Tristan's name right. It's because of Tristan in Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. I now am wondering where... I don't even know where that name comes from. It is apparently also a electric music producer. So, I don't know. The world may never know. But the thing is, I know now why I was saying it wrong all this time. You know, it reminds me of, like, there was a game I played, you know... I'm not so old that I had a NES, but I didn't have the latest and greatest gaming systems, let's put it that way. And so, one of the games I grew up with was, I grew up with a lot of Nintendo games. Like, old Nintendo games. Like, I mean, it's... So to see how much technology has changed in my short lifespan, and how much more affordable things are, is kind of incredible. But a game that I remember was Dragon Warrior 3 as a kid. And I could never, in a million years, figure out the name of the first town. And I think I called it Alahan. But I believe it actually is Aliahan. But again, like, I was a kid, I was young. I mean, I wasn't quite like eating glue stupid, but you know, I mean, I was still a kid, you know? And I didn't know how to... I butchered these names, you know? and that was a problem, you know, since they never spoke it. It was impossible for me to know how to say it, even though... And honestly, one of the things I did myself is such a disservice, and when I was a kid, is I didn't want to, like... I didn't always read all the exposition of the story. I was more concerned with, like, getting to the action than reading about all all the little things, you know. And more than once as a kid, especially this is as a young kid, there was no YouTube, there was no Game Facts, there was no... Or at least if there was, I didn't have access to it on the internet. So I had to kind of figure everything out by hand. And I would remember I would get stuck on things. And probably one of the best ones I remember was the book in A Legend of Zelda: The Link to the Past. Again, I was a kid playing this game. I had beat the original Zelda by this point. But in the original Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, you get the boots of speed that let you run. And the next thing you do is you take those boots, you go to a library in the little village, and you run into the shelf and knock the book down. I remember as a kid, I tried everything. Obviously I didn't try everything because I didn't get it. But I just looked up there and I was like, how the hell am I supposed to get that? I tried whacking it with my sword. I tried this. I tried throwing the boomerang. I tried, I think I used bombs, I tried all that. And then out of frustration, I decide to run into it and ram it, and the book falls off. And I'm like, wow, didn't expect that to work. It also reminds me of Super Metroid again, a game when I was a kid. There's a point in the game where basically you went all the way down to the hot part of the world, you come back up out of Brimstone, I think it is, and you basically go across and you do the pirate ship, and at this point you have the gravity suit. Or no, I don't think it's called the gravity suit. I think it's a gravity suit and the Varia suit. And I know I'm not paying attention to the game, but whatever. We're having fun reminiscing with me and my inability to say names. And I had both suits. And so if you know the game, basically you go into this... basically, without the gravity suit, you can't maneuver well in water. And basically, the next part of the game you go through is basically water-based. And what you do is you go into this tube, there's this glass tube, and you blow it up with a power bomb. When you use the power bomb, basically the glass shatters and you're free. And I think these were, like, again, I started with a NES when I was a kid because, again, the games were a lot more affordable than the Super NES. And I think they were really trying to show the power of the Super NES with these kind of games. Because that wouldn't have worked in any NES game I ever played outside of maybe Gauntlet. Which Gauntlet was like the, never-ending game. As a kid, I had a Game Genie, so I actually played that game with the Game Genie, trying to see if I could get an ending, and I never did, and I felt very unfulfilled by that. I didn't understand the concept of it's an arcade game with infinite levels, like there is no end. It just didn't compute. I was that young. I was like, I gotta have an ending once I get like all the power-ups from the dragon or something. There's gotta be an ending, right? No. Just infinite levels to run up the score, and of course with the Game Genie, you can run up the score forever, right? And, but anyways, damn, I lost my train of thought. Oh, no, but anyways, like, I remember I was just frustrated. I'm like, I've looked everywhere in this game. Where am I supposed to go? And I just ran through this tunnel. I'm like, you know what? I was mad, and so I'm like, I'm gonna use a power bomb here, and I did it, and it just, and it shatters open. And those are the things I remember as a kid. And I can't really say why I remember them so well, other than it was such a novel experience at the time, where my actual frustration, instead of like throwing the controller, I threw my guy into a wall and knocked a book down. I attacked a enclosure that I felt was restraining me from the game, and it gave away. And that was a big change from how, if you look at the old Zelda, the old games, they just didn't do that. Like Dragon Warrior 3, yeah, there was nothing like that in there. There was gambling, though, in that game. It's kind of interesting. There was like a monster arena you could go bet in. And again, I would say it's really hard to go back with today's graphics and go back and play a Nintendo game. I would say the graphics just make it, to me, a little too limiting. But now you take a Super Nintendo game where a Super Nintendo game looks, like what Terraria looks like. And those games to me are still really playable, I feel like that's why I know they released the NES Classic, but to me, the NES Classic the graphics need just a little bit more polish. But I feel like a real pixel game, like, Final Fantasy 3, which is now Final Fantasy 6, or The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, or any of those games, the pixel fidelity isn't great. Like, it's not going to look like amazing on your 4K TV because this was designed for, I think, 840. Like, this was 840p, so like a little more than a fifth the resolution of what you have now. But the graphics are good enough that you can kind of appreciate them. It's not like I'm looking at this blob of pixels and what is it? Because that was the biggest thing I remember when growing up, like the big transition, which again, because I'm so much younger, like people that were older than me, they started with the Atari, and the leap from the Atari to the NES was amazing. From what I was told, the one Atari game I remember playing was at my friend's house, and it was Pac-Man. And it was like a really bad, really unresponsive version of Pac-Man. But it was Pac-Man I could play without burning up quarters. So, that was a pretty good benefit, That is one of the things I missed. Like, I feel like the arcade must have been so much fun back then. I don't know if you're old enough to like have gone to arcades and stuff like that, and where you was the arcade as much fun as it seems? I probably imagine it's not as much fun because, of course, you were romanticizing that idea without realizing, yeah, instead of buying a game now for like $20, you would go to the arcade and spend $20 in quarters in a night and go home with no game, you know. But I'm kind of curious how if anybody's played in old arcades, what was it like? That was really a time that I didn't. I mean, don't get me wrong, we went through like when I was really young, we did like Chuck E. Cheese and stuff like that. But Chuck E. Cheese is not the same. I feel like when I was going to Chuck E. Cheese, game development was already shifted to focus on the home and not the arcade. I don't know. Let me know. If anybody's had that experience. Oh, strange times. So when I think back about things like that, it's kind of amazing. And obviously, I don't think they changed anything. Just in case you're wondering, because we're at Ruins 12 and it's 20 minutes. So I know I kind of went down the alternate history down memory lane here, but damn, the whole Trist, because somebody mentioned it in my comments. They're like, "Wow, I can't wait to see when you finally in your later videos you realize that you were saying Tristan and not Tristan." And that was, I knew it was for a reason, and that just got me in a whole trip down memory lane. I don't know. I've been feeling nostalgic lately, I guess. It's just that time of year, right? Springtime. Thinking about how things, used to be growing up. Unfortunately, like I said, I do have a full-time job. And I have moved into the world of working for a living. Uh, I will always miss the days of my youth. Mostly because I miss the lack of responsibility. Never had to. I don't get me wrong. I'm thankful for the job I have and stuff like that, and I'm thankful because there's a lot of people that have things worse. That they struggle. They can't find a job. They can't. For whatever reason. Some people just don't get lucky in life. They maybe have an illness or something. So life is a lot of luck, and I will always defend that to anybody who argues against me. But I do miss the days of my youth when it was just like I went to school and I got home from school and I did whatever little homework I had, and after that I was just free. There was such a freedom, and there was always something. One of the things I miss in my adult life is I always had something to look forward to as a kid. I don't really think that's as much as a problem as growing old. And maybe it's because of my situation in life. I don't have as much to look forward to. I have a lot less. But man, as a kid, I remember, especially once summer. Always look. I played so many video games during the summer. But again, like I didn't have a lot of games, so I ended up playing the same game. I did what's it called? Inventive gameplay, where you kind of take a game and you make up your own challenges and your own rules. That's actually why Dragon Warrior 3 always sticks out in my memory so well. Because like unlike a lot of games, like you go through, you play through, you get hero joins the team, and then there's his assistant. He meets up with the princess, and she joins the team as the healer, and he meets up with this other prince, and he joins the game as like he's half offense, half healing. Those kind of games where it's like a scripted event of you get people. One of the things that I liked about Dragon Warrior 3 so much is there was no script like that. There was a script in the sense that you were the hero. You were going around the world and saving the world. There's of course that. There's an overarching plot. But in terms of the script, it's you get to build your team. That was one of the coolest things to me as a kid, is I got to build my team. And of course, there was a recommended team, which was hero, soldier, pilgrim, which was basically a cleric. I don't know why they called it a pilgrim, probably a translation thing, and a wizard. And then later you could turn the wizard into a sage, so because the sage had more defense and stuff like that. The real pro move was actually not to turn the wizard to the sage, but turn the pilgrim to the sage. And then when the wizard has learned every spell, you then convert the wizard to the pilgrim, and he keeps all his spells, and he effectively is a whatever level wizard with every spell, plus he's also a pilgrim and he learns all the healing spells. I mean, that's the real pro move I learned like my second playthrough. But you know, I don't feel like I play games like that. Like I did play Terraria. Wouldn't really say I did an alternate playthrough. Started with an alternate playthrough. Ended up with my friend came and joined the game, and he just killed a bunch of bosses and pushed us through because he's like, man, there's things in this game I can't do because I don't do enough DPS. And then we all farmed up they added a new weapon since the last time I played. It's called the Zenith, and so we got that. Then when everybody had the Zenith, then it was just like, okay, we just mulch everything. There's nothing unachievable in that game. Honestly, the one disappointment I have about Terraria is that they made the Zenith sword, and that is amazing, and I love it. I love having a really uber weapon that you can go back and just say, you know, like Moonlord, and everything you struggled with is just like deleted. But at the same time, what I miss is that they didn't make a Zenith for all the other classes. Like, there's no Zenith for Rangers, there's no Zenith for Mages, and no Zenith for Summoners. And I think having one of those would have been so cool. And I know they are doing an update, and I secretly hope that that's what they're doing. So I did kind of just we went through it without an issue, so that's nice to see. I kind of took you guys down a trip down memory lane. I hope that's memorial. Let me know in the comments if you like that or not. I just got in a mood. I got in a mood, and you got me reminiscing about things in my past, and I'd rather tell a story than say, oh, look, they slowed the guy over there. For the umpteen thousandth time, I wanted to tell you a story. I hope you appreciated that. I hope you did. I enjoyed telling the story, and yeah. But once again, we did actually beat King's Ruins. I will actually consider pushing. I want to give it 2 more good clears, and I'm only going to push 70 stages, so probably in a couple days, we'll try going up to 9200 and see how that goes. But once again, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to support the channel. If you have any questions, please say something in the comments. I always look forward to your questions. And again, one of the questions is, did you enjoy this format? Did you enjoy me just telling a story instead of focusing on the comment? Let me know. I mean, if I can't promise you I'll always be able to do that, but if you did like that, because I like telling the story a lot more with the game kind of going on in the background than the usual thing where it's like, how many times am I going to comment on how we lost on stage 2 and how we lost on stage 4, you know? But let me know. And, you know, thank you again, and I hope you have a good day.